We've got some fresh images of 3I Atlas, a third ever interstellar object observed from Earth, currently racing through our solar system. Now, astronomers have captured that moment live, streaming in real time around the globe of them watching all of this.
What if the greatest discovery in human history is already here, and we've missed it? On July 1st, 2025, a mysterious object entered our solar system, unlike anything we've ever seen. It's shedding pure nickel at an impossible rate, moving in ways that defy the laws of physics. Some of the brightest minds in science now believe that this object may not be a comet at all, but something far more terrifying, and possibly a message from another world.
The supposed comet is catching the attention of some of the nation's most renowned scientists, as one Harvard professor is raising the theory this may actually be a piece of alien technology.
What if 3I Atlas isn't just visiting? What if it's watching us? The truth might be closer and darker than we can imagine. As 3I Atlas moves through our solar system, it is shedding about 10 pounds of pure nickel every second. While the presence of nickel in space is not entirely surprising, the sheer quantity and the fact that the nickel appears in isolation, without the usual accompanying iron, raises many questions. Typically, in the cosmos, nickel and iron are found together, often forged in the cores of dying stars. The absence of iron in this object's composition is an anomaly that challenges the conventional understanding of how materials behave in space. The discovery of 3I Atlas was made on July 1st, 2025, when a survey team in Chile turned their telescopes toward the sky. They spotted what appeared to be a faint speck of light, moving at an astonishing speed of 130,000 miles per hour. Initial excitement surrounded this finding, as it presented a rare opportunity to study an object from outside our solar system. Objects like this are incredibly rare, and 3I Atlas became only the third interstellar object ever confirmed by humanity. At first, astronomers were eager to learn more about this strange visitor. It seemed like a fantastic opportunity to study a piece of another star system, right here in our own backyard. But as the object got closer, the excitement turned to confusion. Astronomers at the Very Large Telescope, VLT, in Chile were the first to notice that 3I Atlas was not behaving in the way that a typical comet or asteroid would. When they analyzed the light coming from the object's coma, the cloud of gas and dust surrounding it, they were expecting to find the usual materials: water, dust, and some common metals. However, what they discovered was something unexpected. The object was shedding pure nickel at an unprecedented rate. The presence of nickel in space isn't unheard of. Nickel, along with iron, is one of the most common metals found in meteorites that fall to Earth. It's often a sign of an object's deep cosmic origins, forged in the heart of ancient stars. However, what was truly perplexing about 3I Atlas was that it was shedding nickel without the accompanying iron, something that has never been seen before in space. This raised immediate questions about how the object could produce such an odd material composition. An astrophysicist from Harvard University, who is known for his bold ideas and willingness to entertain unconventional theories, pointed out that separating nickel from iron is not something that happens naturally in space. On Earth, it requires a great deal of energy and industrial technology to separate these two metals. Nickel is not typically found in pure form in nature, and certainly not in the quantities that 3I Atlas was producing. So the big question was, could nature have done this? Could this object have formed in such a way, or was it possible that the nickel was being produced artificially? The idea that 3I Atlas might not be a natural object at all began to gain traction. This wasn't just another interstellar rock that had wandered into our solar system by accident. The unusual amount of pure nickel being expelled from the object, along with the strange absence of iron, suggested that it might be something else entirely. A piece of technology, perhaps, deliberately sent on a journey across the vastness of space. The scientific community was naturally cautious. While many were excited about the possibilities, others remained skeptical. The idea that this object could be a piece of alien technology was, of course, a dramatic and speculative suggestion. However, the more the object was studied, the more peculiarities were revealed. In addition to its strange chemical composition, 3I Atlas's path through the solar system seemed unusual as well. Most objects that pass through our solar system follow predictable paths. They are influenced by the gravitational pull of our sun, and their trajectories are typically smooth, following the laws of physics that govern the motion of celestial bodies. However, 3I Atlas's path seemed different. It was moving at an odd angle, and its trajectory didn't align with what astronomers would expect from a typical comet or asteroid. It appeared to be deliberately moving through the solar system in a series of flybys, coming close to planets like Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, in a way that seemed almost intentional. At first, these oddities were chalked up to the randomness of space. After all, the universe is vast, and things don't always behave in predictable ways. However, when scientists crunched the numbers, they discovered that the odds of such an object passing so closely to so many planets in a single journey were incredibly low. In fact, the probability was a mere 0.005%, meaning that it was statistically unlikely that this was a mere cosmic coincidence. This realization prompted a new line of thinking. What if this object wasn't just passing through by chance? What if it was on a mission? Could it be a probe of some kind, deliberately designed to study our solar system? The idea that 3I Atlas might be some kind of survey mission, sent by an advanced civilization or entity, became a serious topic of discussion. These theories, of course, raised more questions than answers. If 3I Atlas was not just a comet or asteroid, but a piece of technology, whether alien or otherwise, what was its purpose? What did its strange composition and path mean? And if this was truly a piece of technology, what did that say about the possibilities of life and intelligence beyond our planet? As the James Webb Space Telescope focused on 3I Atlas, the mysteries surrounding the object deepened. New data revealed even more unusual characteristics. The object's chemical composition was unlike anything seen before in the solar system. Its main ingredient was carbon dioxide, not water, as is typical for most comets. In fact, the ratio of carbon dioxide to water in 3I Atlas was the highest ever observed, 8 parts carbon dioxide to just 1 part water. This unusual chemical signature, combined with the object's strange path, made it clear that 3I Atlas was unlike anything scientists had ever encountered. The discovery of 3I Atlas has sent shockwaves through the astronomical community. The possibility that this object is something other than a natural formation has opened up an entirely new realm of possibilities. Some scientists now believe that we are not just dealing with an interstellar object, but something far more complex. Could 3I Atlas be a piece of technology, deliberately sent on a journey through space, leaving behind a trail of clues for us to decipher? While the possibility of alien technology is still a subject of debate, the fact that this object behaves in such an unusual way is undeniable. It has sparked a wave of new research and raised important questions about the nature of our universe and the possibility of other intelligent civilizations. For now, the mystery of 3I Atlas remains unsolved, but it is a mystery that continues to capture the imagination of scientists and the public alike. As more data is collected and analyzed, we may be closer to understanding the true nature of this interstellar visitor. But for now, all we can do is watch, wait, and wonder. What is 3I Atlas? And what message is it trying to send? The discovery of 3I Atlas was initially met with great excitement, as it was one of the rarest events in astronomical history: the detection of an interstellar object passing through our solar system. On July 1st, 2025, a team of astronomers based in Chile, using their telescopes to survey the night sky, spotted what appeared to be a faint speck of light moving at a staggering speed of 130,000 miles per hour. At first glance, this was just another small object on its way through space. But the speed and trajectory of 3I Atlas indicated that it wasn't part of our solar system. This wasn't just a familiar asteroid or comet from our cosmic neighborhood. It was something that had traveled across the vast emptiness between the stars, and that made it unique. Only the third interstellar object, confirmed by humanity, 3I Atlas, was now a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for astronomers to study a piece of another star system, right here in our own backyard. The rare nature of the discovery alone made it an exciting prospect for scientists. But as they looked deeper into the object's composition and trajectory, their initial excitement began to turn into confusion and, for some, alarm. This object wasn't behaving the way they had expected it to. It wasn't following the usual patterns of movement seen in most comets or asteroids. In fact, the more astronomers observed it, the more they realized that 3I Atlas didn't fit neatly into any of the categories they had for objects in our solar system. What had initially seemed like a thrilling chance to observe an interstellar visitor was slowly transforming into a perplexing mystery that no one had anticipated. As 3I Atlas moved closer to our solar system, astronomers set about trying to learn more about its nature. They turned to some of the most powerful telescopes available, including the Very Large Telescope, VLT, in Chile, to study the object in greater detail. Their aim was to learn more about the chemical composition of the object, specifically the light coming from its coma, the cloud of gas and dust surrounding the object. Comets, which are icy bodies, typically exhibit certain characteristics when they approach the sun. As the heat of the sun strikes the object, it causes the ice to vaporize, creating the familiar cloud of gas and dust we see around comets. The light that comes from this cloud can give scientists a glimpse into the makeup of the object itself. At first, astronomers were expecting to see a typical mix of common materials in the coma of 3I Atlas. Water, dust, and perhaps some basic metals would be the most likely components. These are the types of elements usually found in the comets and asteroids that are part of our solar system. However, when the data came back, it told a completely different story. What astronomers found was nothing like what they had expected. The object was shedding about 10 pounds of nickel every second. This was an extraordinary amount of nickel to be ejecting from the object. While nickel isn't unusual in space, nickel, along with iron, is commonly found in meteorites. It was the sheer volume of it that raised eyebrows. But what really puzzled scientists was that the object was shedding pure nickel, without the accompanying iron. This was an anomaly. As in the cosmos, nickel and iron are usually found together, formed in the same ancient stars. The absence of iron in the object was the first major clue that something was different about 3I Atlas. On Earth, nickel and iron are commonly found together in meteorites, and they are often forged in the hearts of dying stars. To find nickel in space is nothing unusual, but to find it without iron was unheard of. This led to the question, how could this happen? The process of separating nickel from iron requires a significant amount of energy and technological input. On Earth, we do this through industrial processes, which are not naturally occurring in space. This raised an unsettling possibility. Could this object, which was behaving so differently, have been artificially constructed or altered in some way? If 3I Atlas wasn't a natural space rock, then what exactly was it? The questions continue to pile up. Could this be some sort of technology? If so, who or what could have created it? A Harvard astrophysicist, known for his bold and unconventional ideas, was one of the first to raise the alarm. He pointed out that separating nickel from iron in such a precise way was an industrial process that required considerable technology. It was difficult to imagine that this process could happen naturally in space, particularly given the vast distances between stars and the harsh conditions of the cosmos. And yet, here was 3I Atlas, shedding pure nickel into space at an alarming rate. At this point, the astronomical community found itself at a crossroads. While many scientists were fascinated by the discovery, others were more cautious. The idea that this object could be a piece of alien technology was still a speculative notion. But the evidence suggested that 3I Atlas was not behaving like any natural object we had encountered before. This led some scientists to propose that 3I Atlas could be a deliberate creation, a message in a bottle sent across the vastness of space. Perhaps it was a probe or device designed by an advanced civilization, sent on a long journey to reach us. It was a compelling idea, But the scientific community, as always, was hesitant to jump to conclusions without more data. In an attempt to gather more information, the James Webb Space Telescope, one of the most advanced instruments in space, turned its gaze toward 3I Atlas. The telescope's powerful instruments were able to observe the object in even greater detail, revealing yet another surprising characteristic. The object's main chemical component wasn't water, as would be expected in a typical comet. Instead, it was carbon dioxide. In fact, the ratio of carbon dioxide to water was unlike anything ever seen before. 3I Atlas had 8 parts carbon dioxide to just 1 part water, while most comets have around 4% water content. This was yet another unusual feature that set 3I Atlas apart from anything known in our solar system. It was clear now that 3I Atlas wasn't just another comet. It was behaving in ways that no one could fully explain. The carbon dioxide composition, combined with the pure nickel shedding and the absence of iron, painted a picture of an object that didn't belong in our solar system. But what did it mean? Could this be a cosmic riddle, a puzzle that we would have to solve to understand its true purpose? As more data was collected, the theories continued to grow. Some scientists started to speculate that 3I Atlas could be a probe, perhaps a survey mission sent by an advanced alien civilization. Its odd composition and deliberate trajectory suggested it might not be a random object from another star system, but something much more deliberate. As the object passed closer to our sun and planets like Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, astronomers noticed something else strange. The object's path appeared to be intentional. Instead of simply passing through the solar system, it seemed to be making a series of flybys, moving past several planets in a way that felt almost too precise to be by chance. In fact, the probability of 3I Atlas passing so closely to so many planets in a single journey was incredibly low, only 0.05%. The chances of such a highly specific trajectory happening by accident were almost non-existent. It seemed, once again, like the object had been sent on a mission. The likelihood of this path being random seemed so slim that it began to feel like it had been carefully planned. As astronomers tracked the object's movements, they also discovered that 3I Atlas wasn't moving like most objects in our solar system. Our solar system is mostly flat, with all the planets orbiting the sun in the same general plane. Yet 3I Atlas entered this plane on a slight tilt, moving backward in what is known as a retrograde orbit. This type of movement is rare, but not entirely unheard of in space. However, its backward motion, against the flow of the solar system, was a further indication that something unusual was at play. As astronomers continued to study 3I Atlas, new and even stranger data began to emerge, further deepening the mystery surrounding this interstellar object. What had initially been considered an exciting discovery, a rare opportunity to study a cosmic visitor, soon transformed into an enigmatic puzzle. The more scientists observed 3I Atlas, the more unusual characteristics they found. The object wasn't just a comet or asteroid from another star system. It was behaving in ways that defied conventional understanding. The first indication that 3I Atlas might be more than just an ordinary object came from its chemical composition. When astronomers at the Very Large Telescope, VLT, in Chile analyzed the light coming from the object's coma, they expected to find typical elements: water, dust, perhaps some metals. Instead, what they discovered was something entirely different. 3I Atlas was shedding about 10 pounds of pure nickel every second. While nickel itself isn't strange in space, the absence of iron, a metal usually found alongside nickel in celestial objects, raised serious questions. It wasn't just that the object was shedding nickel, it was the sheer quantity and the strange isolation of the metal that caught the attention of the scientific community. Nickel and iron are often found together in space, formed in the same ancient stars. This is why meteorites that fall to Earth often contain both metals. The fact that 3I Atlas was emitting pure nickel without any iron was an anomaly. In nature, separating nickel from iron requires significant energy, usually through industrial processes. This was a critical clue that something extraordinary was at play. The question that emerged was whether this object could have formed in a way that allowed it to shed pure nickel, or if something else entirely was going on. Could this object have been artificially designed or altered? This question started to take root among scientists, particularly when coupled with the object's bizarre chemical signature. In addition to the unusual composition of 3I Atlas, its path through the solar system was also causing concern. Typically, when an object enters our solar system from deep space, it follows a predictable curve as it is influenced by the gravitational pull of the Sun. This curved trajectory is what most comets and asteroids follow as they pass through our neighborhood in space. However, 3I Atlas wasn't following any of the expected patterns. As astronomers tracked its movement, they began to notice that the object's path seemed oddly deliberate, almost as if it had been designed to pass by certain planets at very specific points in its journey. For example, the object passed incredibly close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, all in a single flyby. Statistically speaking, the probability of an object from another star system passing so closely to multiple planets was incredibly low, only 0.05%. To put this into perspective, that's less likely than being struck by lightning multiple times in your lifetime. The likelihood of this being a random event seemed almost impossible. Instead, it began to appear as though 3I Atlas had been deliberately guided along this path. This raised the unsettling possibility that it wasn't a natural object at all, but something intentionally directed across the solar system, perhaps by an advanced civilization. The oddness of the object's trajectory didn't end there. 3I Atlas was also traveling on what is known as a retrograde orbit. In our solar system, the planets and most objects follow the same general plane, orbiting the Sun in the same direction. But 3I Atlas entered the solar system at a 5-degree tilt and was moving in the opposite direction to the flow of the solar system. This is called a retrograde orbit, and while it is not unheard of, it is quite rare. To some scientists, this seemed like yet another deliberate feature. After all, if you wanted to get a good look at our solar system from multiple angles, moving in the opposite direction could give you a better vantage point, allowing you to pass by key planets quickly. What made this even more puzzling was that the object's perihelion, the point in its orbit where it comes closest to the Sun, was on the far side of the Sun from Earth. This meant that when the object was at its brightest and most active, it was positioned in such a way that it was difficult for us to observe it directly. It was almost as if 3I Atlas had been placed in a position where it could hide its true nature from us. This made it incredibly difficult to observe its peak activity, which seemed intentional. As astronomers dug deeper into the data, the more they realized that 3I Atlas wasn't just a random object from another star system. Its path, its composition, and its behavior all suggested something much more deliberate. And the more the data was analyzed, the more this theory gained traction. The idea that 3I Atlas could be a probe, a piece of technology designed and sent by an advanced civilization, started to seem more and more plausible. But the scientific community, always cautious, needed more evidence. They couldn't just leap to the conclusion that 3I Atlas was alien technology without more data to support the claim. Enter the James Webb Space Telescope, one of the most powerful instruments ever built to study the universe. As it focused on 3I Atlas, the object's strange properties only became more pronounced. One of the most striking findings from the Webb telescope was the object's chemical composition. Unlike the typical comets found in our solar system, 3I Atlas had a much higher ratio of carbon dioxide to water, 8 parts carbon dioxide to 1 part water. Most comets have a carbon dioxide to water ratio of around 4%, so this was another anomaly that further set 3I Atlas apart from anything known to exist in our solar system. This discovery only deepened the mystery. Was this a piece of natural debris from another star system? Or was it something more? The strange behavior of 3I Atlas, combined with its unexpected chemical composition and trajectory, pointed to the possibility that this object was not just a random visitor, but a deliberate creation. The idea that it could be a piece of technology, perhaps even a probe sent by an alien civilization, was no longer just a speculative theory. It was becoming a serious possibility. But even as the evidence began to suggest that 3I Atlas was something more than a comet or asteroid, scientists were reluctant to jump to conclusions. They were still faced with the possibility that there might be a natural explanation for its strange behavior. Some scientists proposed that the object might be a fragment of a larger interstellar object, torn apart by the forces of space. Others suggested that it could be a remnant from a cosmic event, like the collision of two neutron stars, which could theoretically explain the strange metals and gases detected. However, as more data was gathered, it seemed that none of these natural explanations could fully account for the object's behavior. With each new discovery, the case for 3I Atlas being a deliberate probe or piece of technology grew stronger. The unusual trajectory, the strange composition, and the high carbon dioxide content all pointed to something that was not just random space debris. The more scientists analyzed the data, the more it seemed as though 3I Atlas had been deliberately placed in our solar system to observe or study our world. But by whom, or by what, and for what purpose? These were questions that continued to haunt astronomers as they worked to piece together the mystery of 3I Atlas. At this point, many began to wonder if this was merely a coincidence, or if there was a pattern at work. Two such strange and unique objects, 3I Atlas and the earlier interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, appearing in such a short time span and exhibiting similar strange behavior, seemed unlikely to be a coincidence. Were these objects related? Were they from the same source? Were they both probes, sent by the same civilization, or perhaps sent by different civilizations with a common purpose? This growing possibility led to further speculation. If 3I Atlas was indeed a probe, whether sent by an advanced alien civilization or some other intelligence, it might be the first real evidence of life beyond Earth. But even more fascinating was the possibility that 3I Atlas wasn't just a probe, but part of a larger phenomenon. Perhaps it was a small piece of a much larger project, one that spanned multiple star systems and involved the creation of advanced probes sent to study and explore distant corners of the universe. Could 3I Atlas be the first in a series of interstellar visitors to our solar system, each one carrying with it a different message or piece of information from a distant civilization? As the mystery surrounding 3I Atlas deepens, it has become clear that this interstellar object is unlike anything humanity has encountered before. While its arrival in our solar system initially sparked excitement and curiosity, the more astronomers and scientists have studied it, the more apparent it becomes that the object's characteristics don't fit into any of the conventional categories of space rocks or comets. The unusual chemical composition, its strange trajectory, and its highly deliberate behavior all suggest that 3I Atlas might be something far more extraordinary than a simple interstellar object. One of the most striking theories that has emerged in response to the peculiarities of 3I Atlas is that it could be a piece of technology, a probe or some other form of artificial object sent deliberately across the cosmos. While this idea may sound far-fetched to some, the evidence that has been gathered so far seems to support the possibility. The absence of iron in the object's composition, the presence of pure nickel being emitted in large quantities, and its strange path through our solar system all point to the idea that 3I Atlas is not simply a natural occurrence. The notion that 3I Atlas could be a piece of alien technology is not a new one. In fact, the idea of objects from beyond our solar system being probes or some form of artificial creation is something that has been speculated about for decades. The first real shock came in 2017, with the arrival of another interstellar object, Oumuamua. This cigar-shaped object, which was first detected in October of that year, was moving too fast to have come from our sun's neighborhood. Its unusual shape, coupled with its strange acceleration, prompted a wide range of theories. The most notable of these was proposed by a Harvard astrophysicist who suggested that Oumuamua might not be a natural object at all, but rather a piece of alien technology, possibly a solar sail designed to be propelled by starlight. The idea of Oumuamua being an alien probe was met with a great deal of skepticism, but the data surrounding 3I Atlas seems to validate the possibility that interstellar objects might indeed be probes or some other form of technology. The two objects, Oumuamua and 3I Atlas, both share striking similarities. Their strange behaviors, unusual compositions, and movement through our solar system that seem far too deliberate to be explained by natural causes. The reappearance of another object with such oddities has led some to speculate that this may not be a coincidence. Could these objects be part of a pattern? Are they both part of the same larger project, sent by an advanced civilization to observe and study other star systems? The possibility that 3I Atlas is an artificial object raises profound questions about the nature of life in the universe. If this object is indeed a probe sent by an advanced civilization, it would represent the first tangible evidence that we are not alone in the cosmos. This realization would change everything we know about our place in the universe and our understanding of intelligent life. While it's tempting to imagine the idea of alien visitors, it's important to remember that the scientific community is cautious, and more data is needed to confirm any theories about the object's true nature. For now, scientists continue to study 3I Atlas, gathering information and testing new hypotheses to explain its strange properties. But there are other possibilities that scientists are also considering. Some researchers have suggested that 3I Atlas could be an example of a self-replicating probe, an idea known as a von Neumann probe. This concept, proposed by the mathematician John von Neumann in the 1940s, involves a machine that enters a star system, gathers raw materials, and uses those materials to create copies of itself. These copies are then sent out to explore other stars, thus enabling a form of interstellar exploration that doesn't require vast amounts of energy or time. If 3I Atlas is a self-replicating probe, it could be the beginning of a larger project, one that spans multiple star systems and involves the creation of a network of probes sent out to study distant parts of the galaxy. Another theory that has been suggested is that 3I Atlas is not a probe at all, but a piece of space debris, perhaps a remnant from a much larger interstellar vessel, or even a destroyed alien megastructure. This theory would explain some of the strange metals and gases detected by astronomers. It would also suggest that the object's path through our solar system is not so much deliberate as it is the result of a catastrophic event. While this theory may seem less exciting than the idea of a probe, it still raises intriguing questions about the origins of 3I Atlas and what it represents. But what if 3I Atlas is not space debris or a probe, but something even more profound? A celestial seed designed to spread life throughout the galaxy. This theory proposes that the object could be a biological laboratory, an automated system designed to deliver the building blocks of life to habitable planets. The object's high carbon dioxide content, which is so unusual compared to typical comets, has led some to speculate that it could be part of a terraforming process. In this scenario, 3I Atlas would not be a message to us but a delivery system, seeding life on distant worlds by transporting the necessary chemicals for life's development. If 3I Atlas is indeed a celestial seed, it would represent an entirely new understanding of life in the universe. Instead of searching for intelligent life forms or advanced civilizations, we might be witnessing the biological propagation of life itself, life being spread from one planet to another, like seeds blown on the wind. This theory suggests that life in the galaxy may be far more widespread than we ever imagined, with celestial bodies like 3I Atlas acting as vehicles for life to take root on new planets. Of course, these are all speculative theories, and the scientific community has yet to reach a consensus on the true nature of 3I Atlas. It is possible that the object is simply a natural formation, a cosmic oddity that doesn't fit into any of our established categories. Some scientists have proposed that the object could be a remnant from a kilonova, an incredibly violent event in space where two neutron stars collide, producing vast amounts of energy and heavy elements. In this case, the strange properties of 3I Atlas might be the result of such an event, with the object being a leftover fragment of this catastrophic collision. However, even this theory raises its own set of questions. The odds of such an object being sent on a perfect path through our solar system seem astronomically low, which leads some to wonder whether the object's journey through our system is truly random. Another possibility is that 3I Atlas is simply a lure, a test to see if humanity is observant enough to notice it. This theory suggests that the strange properties of the object, along with its seemingly intentional trajectory, are designed to capture our attention. It's possible that the object is meant to provoke a response from us, to test our ability to recognize something out of the ordinary and perhaps even learn from it. This would not be a probe meant to study us, but a test to see if we are intelligent enough to understand its significance. At this point, no one can say for certain what 3I Atlas truly is. The evidence points in several directions, each one more intriguing than the last. What started as a simple astronomical discovery has evolved into one of the most profound mysteries of modern science. Is 3I Atlas a message from an advanced civilization? A piece of alien technology? A self-replicating probe? Or is it something even stranger, an object designed to spread life throughout the galaxy? Whatever the answer may be, one thing is clear: 3I Atlas has changed the way we think about our place in the universe. The idea that there may be intelligent life out there, creating probes and sending them across the cosmos, is no longer just the stuff of science fiction. It is a possibility that serious scientists must now consider. The discovery of 3I Atlas has forced us to reconsider our models of how the universe works and has raised questions that may take years or even decades to answer. For now, all we can do is watch as the mystery unfolds, wondering what we will learn as we continue to study this extraordinary visitor from the stars.